Well, I got my love for coming to Great Falls, Montana, clear back in 1979 when I started traveling on behalf of Congressman Ron Marlene, and he had a special place in his heart for the Malmstrom mission because he knew it was so critical to the economy of Great Falls, besides being so important to the defense of America. And so I've really paid attention to what's going on up at Malmstrom ever since then. And my fear is that under this New START treaty, which I think was a mistake, and under sequestration, which I think is a mistake, I've set up a committee of Great Falls interests to gather together to get information and to help how do we present or put our best foot forward to the administration, to the Congress, to see that we have a well-rounded defense posture. What we need is redundancy to begin with. The triad is submarine, land-based, and aircraft. That is how we deliver our ICBMs. But beyond that, everything is a bigger part of the picture. When you've got the troops themselves, and you've got aircraft carriers, and all the things that go into making up our defense of America. And I really wanted to bring the local knowledge from Great Falls, because the folks of Great Falls are going to be interested anyhow. Anytime a rumor is started in Washington, somebody picks something up, all heck breaks loose back in Great Falls, and you started getting phone calls. And I thought it was easier to set up a committee and have regular meetings. We've had our first organizational meeting already. We brought in an expert on treaties to talk about the possibilities, the likelihoods. Of course, he couldn't give any conclusion because that's not going to be possible. We have an expert that's assigned to Malmstrom, lives out there, or lives within the community and works out there specifically for this issue. And so we had a good briefing there, and I'll continue to listen and learn and try and help in any way I can. But the committee is a way of public outreach, just asking people to kind of be my eyes and ears, to be my advisor, to help me work to make sure that there's the best outcome on behalf of America, of Montana, the community of Great Falls, and defense. What people are reading or hearing about now is the fact that there are meetings occurring in the Great Falls area talking about the environmental changes that are going to occur as a result of the 50 sites that are already been abandoned, and under the New START treaty they have to be permanently taken away. And so the debate is, are you going to fill them with gravel? Are you going to implode them? Are you going to clean up all the roads, take the fencing down? What's going to be the impact on the local community? Will landowners get that back? Well, that's interesting, and it's important to the people that are in that area. The bigger picture, though, and the one that concerns me, and I got to have a caveat, I don't get a chance to vote on treaties, but I would have voted against the START treaty. I think it was a mistake. The Senate did vote for it. They did agree to it. I think it was a mistake. I don't think we need to unilaterally disarm ourselves internationally, especially with Russia, because I don't think they have the economy to rebuild their weaponry, and it really is the defense of America. That's the single biggest issue that we need to stress and worry about and think about and talk about, because ultimately in the Constitution that is the federal government's responsibility, is defense. I thought it was a real mistake. And so what's going to happen is there will be an additional 100 ICBMs eliminated under the START treaty. And the question becomes, where is that going to occur? It sounds like, it looks like, there's a real possibility that 50 of those could be taken out of the Malmstrom mission. The problem is then, that's one more hit on the economy, but more importantly, that's one more hit on our defense. And so there's a lot of things that play into this. You've got the super committee discussion. Now, I didn't vote for the super committee. I thought it was a stupid idea. Congress is a super committee. We got 435 of us. I've never been on a bigger committee, and it's very difficult. I'm sure everybody that's listening to this has served on a committee, and sometimes they're dysfunctional, and there can be only 10 people. Well, we got 435, so yeah, there is disruption, but our founding fathers intended it to be this way. They didn't want the pendulum to swing quite so quickly, and so they made it very difficult for things to pass the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate, passed on to the President. So government is messy, but sometimes I feel like our founding fathers intended it to be complicated. And so the super committee has really created a problem. And the structure of creating that super committee, and that is, if they did not accomplish a conclusion, which they did not, then sequestration would occur. What does that mean? Well, now the Congress has to come up with a mandatory $1.2 trillion reduction, and half of which comes from Medicare and general services, the other half from defense. Well, where's the money going to come from for defense? First of all, we shouldn't be doing that. But second of all, chances are, once again, the Malmstrom mission is at risk because it could be one of the easiest ways for the Secretary of Defense and the President to make those reductions. Now, I've got an idea, and I've been pushing it forward. I introduced legislation. I talked to the super committee. I'm trying to talk to as many people as I possibly can do. I've got a way of cutting over $1.2 trillion, and it's simple. It's less painful than the alternative. There are two new entitlements that exist within the President's health care reform. Two new government spending that do not occur at this time. One is called the Medicaid expansion, and the other is the insurance premium subsidy. Those two programs, we estimate, cost $1.35 trillion over the course of the next 10 years. Now, isn't it nuts to create two new programs when you're already having a hard time paying for the ones you've already got? We're having difficulty with Medicare, with Medicaid, Social Security, with veterans benefits, with S-CHIP, with this children's health insurance program. It's crazy to set up two new ones that don't even exist now, won't be created until about 2014, that cost $1.35 trillion. If you're going to cut 1.2, wouldn't you go to a place where the program doesn't already exist, where nobody is receiving a benefit, so nobody will lose a benefit? But I'm having a hard time working with this administration because they just don't want to talk about health care reform. They're so adamant that they made the right decision. Unfortunately, the majority of Montanans